Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. Narrated and drawn by Amanda Billyrock. Chapter 4. So aside from the air you breathe, and the smell of the ocean, and the tweeting of birds, nothing else is free. Everything has a cost. So as we all know, if you want something, you gotta pay for it. And if you want money, you gotta earn it. Working construction, being a doctor, working at McDonald's, being a nurse, and yeah, I know they don't wear those hats anymore, but I wish they did because they're super cute. Or entertaining at children's parties as Groucho Marx, or perhaps even playing in a mariachi band. But what about when government spends money? For example, the stimulus bill that the Obama administration came out with a few years back. They claimed that it created some million of jobs. But that's not the whole truth. See, where does government get the money to make its payroll for these millions of jobs? Well, in one of three ways. Direct taxation, borrowing, and money printing, which is also known as inflation and is sometimes given the confusing name of quantitative easing. And while number 1 is clearly a tax, numbers 2 and 3 are as well. It's just harder to tell. The money borrowed will be paid off by taxes in the future, and the money that's been inflated becomes worth less, so this is another form of taxation. So let's see what happens to private sector jobs when government sector jobs are created. When the Federal Arthritis and Musculoskeletal Interagency Coordinating Committee hires a new employee, somewhere a construction worker loses his job because the money that his employer was using to pay him has now been taxed away. When the Federal Citizens Stamp Advisory Committee hires a new federal worker, you guessed it, there goes a doctor somewhere. Same goes for the Federal Commission on International Religious Freedom, the Federal Interagency Committee for the Management of Noxious and Exotic Weeds, the Federal Laboratory Consortium for Technology Transfer, the Federal Indian Arts and Crafts Board, and so on and so forth. The average person sees these new jobs and thinks, hooray, we're fighting unemployment. But what they don't think about is the fact that every government job created destroys a private sector job. It's a law of economics. So if the Obama administration had been truthful, they would have followed up their original claim with, the stimulus bill also destroyed X million of jobs. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. So you might be wondering to yourself, is it really that big a deal if a private sector job is lost for every government job? Aren't there still just jobs? And the answer is, there is a difference. There's a huge difference. See, government jobs are funded out of taxes, whereas private sector jobs are funded by people just doing business with one another. One of these is forced, and one of these is voluntary. So that just leaves one question for you to ask yourself. Would you rather live in the forced economy or the voluntary economy? Stay tuned for Chapter 5.